The world's population is on the verge of a massive explosion, and this boom has many consequences for society and natural ecosystems. Population growth is so fast that governments around the world have a headache in solving problems of food, shelter, employment, etc. However, the surrounding environment is polluted, natural resources decline, and ecological imbalance. Some countries have had the idea of migrating humans to another planet with many similarities with Earth to continue to sustain life, and the chosen planet is Mars. Mars is the second smallest planet in the solar system, just larger than Mercury. It is often referred to as the red planet, because iron oxide is so abundant on the planet's surface that it appears to have a distinctive red color. But is that possible? Let's explore with us right now. First, let's talk a little bit about Mars. Mars, the fourth planet from the Sun, the most Earth-like planet in the solar system, has been intensively studied by NASA and SpaceX scientists for decades, with the goal of turning it into a planet, the second Earth in the future. Mars has a beautiful landscape with majestic mountains, a giant volcano, ancient lakes that have dried up, but still it is expected that someday the water will be found. Mars is less than half the size of Earth, but since most of the Earth's surface is covered by water, the area we can set foot on these two planets is about the same. The air on Mars is extremely thin, up to 100 times thinner than on Earth. 96% of the air here is CO2. Humans will definitely not be able to breathe. Also, we have to get used to dust storms, which occur about every 26 months in the summer. Dust storms can block sunlight for days, making the sky look as though it's dusk some months later. Mars is extremely cold, with an average temperature of -81 degrees Fahrenheit, about -62.7 degrees Celsius, and temperatures throughout the day fluctuate greatly. A day on Mars is about 39 minutes longer than on Earth. Seasons of the year are up to 2 times longer. Mars' gravity is much lower than Earth's, only about 38%. But here's the main problem. Mars is very, very far from Earth, 1,000 times farther from Earth than the Moon. It takes 8 months to get a spacecraft to Mars. That is, if we set off at the exact same time, that happens only once every 2 years, when the distance between Earth and Mars is the shortest. A total of 44 spacecraft has been sent to Mars, but most of them have been crushed or lost, with only about a third being successful. So when will humans set foot there? NASA used to say it was 2040, but Stephen Petronek claimed it would be 2027. Elon Musk, who has created so many miracles recently, is the reason why he makes this statement. If you are interested in the news, you can't help but know about SpaceX, the extremely daring space project that has been creating a leap forward for human space exploration. The man who revolutionized the auto industry and created an entire rocket company in less than 10 years is determined to send humans to Mars by 2027. But can we really live there? Going through space to touch the surface of Mars is one thing, but overcoming the difficulty of living on the red planet is another big challenge. The reality is that humans cannot survive on Mars without an artificial environment built there. What basic elements do humans need to live on Earth? It is food, water, shelter, and clothing. What about on Mars? All the elements for humans to live on Earth, plus oxygen. Where there is water, there can be life, Vox newspaper quoted Dr. Lindsay Hayes, an expert on NASA biology. One of the common characteristics of life is water, she said. There is life that exists without light and oxygen. But no life exists without water. If there was water on the surface of ancient Mars, then there could be life in that water. Water is the basic building block of all life. Bringing water from Earth to Mars is impossible, so if we want to live on Mars, we have to find a way to create water there. When you look at the surface of Mars, it certainly feels like the whole planet is a giant desert, but it is not. The soil of Mars alone contains up to 60% water. Some of our satellites have captured many craters on Mars that are covered with snow and ice. These satellites have also determined that there is a huge amount of water deep underground of Mars, even glaciers. According to calculations, just the amount of ice at the two poles of Mars melting is enough to make the entire planet submerged in water. So the amount of water on Mars is very large, but most of it exists in the form of ice or underground. Turning them into usable water takes a lot of work, but it's completely doable. Previous NASA studies have shown that switching from one gravity field to another can affect spatial orientation, eye brain coordination, balance, and mobility motion. Astronauts also experience skeletally and muscle changes in space. Blood in the body moves to the head in the direction of microgravity, which can put pressure on the eyes and cause vision problems. If preventive or countermeasures are not taken, astronauts may be at increased risk of developing kidney stones due to dehydration and increased excretion of calcium from their bones. NASA is looking at a number of ways to keep astronauts healthy during missions to Mars, including artificial gravity devices and vibrating platforms to help rebuild bones and muscles. We will use hydroponics, the technology of growing plants without soil, just water and chemical nutrients to create food. But we won't be able to grow more than 15 to 20% of the food we need here, at least until there is water flowing on the Martian surface. In the near future, most food will be sent from Earth in dry form. Initially, people could use inflatable chambers capable of regulating pressure for accommodation. But this is only a temporary solution because there is too much radiation from the sun and from cosmic rays. Fortunately, the soil on Mars is extremely good for making bricks. NASA will inject polymer resin into these bricks and then put them in the furnace. Buildings with thick walls will soon be built on Mars. Another solution is that we can live underground or lava tubes abound on Mars. Mars' atmosphere is extremely thin and is mostly carbon dioxide, making up 96% of the atmosphere. For humans on Earth, it is a toxic gas in high concentrations. This means that if a person tried to breathe on Mars without any protection, they would instantly suffocate. Dava Newman, a scientist at MIT, created the spacesuit. It helps to block radiation and keep the body warm and is equipped with an air filtration system. If you tried to breathe on the surface of Mars without a spacesuit providing oxygen, you would die instantly from suffocation. Even if oxygen is guaranteed, the low atmospheric pressure will cause your blood to boil, leading to inevitable death. So we already have all the necessary elements for life on Mars. This is completely possible in the not-too-distant future. But to get there, we have to warm up the whole planet. Although the highest temperature on Mars is 70 degrees during the day, temperatures can go as low as -200 degrees at night. This temperature is too cold for humans to survive. The low temperatures are due to the atmosphere of Mars, which is about 100 times thinner than the atmosphere on Earth. Therefore, to increase the temperature of Mars, we have to thicken this layer of air. The two poles of Mars are key to this problem, both covered by huge amounts of frozen dry ice. If we figure out how to increase the temperature of these two regions and cause the ice to evaporate, the CO2 will mix with the air and make the air here thicker than it is on Earth. As the air layer gets denser, everything else improves. We will be better protected from the rays of the sun. Warmer air makes it possible for water to flow on the surface of Mars. Crops will soon appear here. And when there is more water vapor in the air, there will be rain and even snow on Mars. By then, we can completely take off our spacesuits and walk comfortably in the sun just like on Earth. If this can be done, it will take less than 20 years for the entire Mars to warm. Although Elon Musk has predicted that humans will settle on Mars as early as 2029, but Mr. Musk has yet to begin shipping any materials to build a residence on Mars. The residence here can be imagined as Jim Carrey's real-life version of Mars, in the hit The Truman Show in 1998. The idea of leaving Earth to go to Mars seems quite crazy and not many people think, but the selection of people to go to Mars has attracted up to 200,000 candidates around the world to participate. This project was built by Mars One, a Dutch non-profit organization with the desire to select the most suitable people to live on Mars and possibly never return. This is not a tourist trip because they will have to live, and of course will die there, because the distance from Earth to Mars is more than 225 million kilometers. It will take about 6 months to travel with NASA's fastest spacecraft today, which means they will have to spend that much time living in an extremely quiet, isolated and weightless space. In addition, according to experts' calculations, even if they go through a long trip with countless possible risks, from the launch to the landing of the spacecraft, they cannot live too long there. The most modern technologies can only sustain human life on Mars for a maximum of 68 days. In the list of 100 newly announced people of Mars One, most of them are quite excellent people, including programmers, students, and sales staff. However, in 2016 Mars One ran out of funds and was unable to continue the selection program and the technical studies. In the years after that, several attempts were made to raise additional funds, but they were unsuccessful. To solve the above problems is not easy, and there is still one final problem to solve, which is to transform all the air on Mars so that humans can breathe take thousands of years. But with intelligence, strong adaptability, and growing science and technology, maybe one day this will become a reality. If it succeeds in putting humans on Mars, it will be a great event in human history. Thank you for watching today's video. If you find this video interesting, please click the like button and subscribe to ASK K-Pop Entertainment. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.